I've always believed that life's most meaningful moments happen when we least expect them. That's exactly what occurred between me and my friend Alex, a dentist who I'd known since college. We'd maintained a close friendship over the years, occasionally meeting for coffee or dinner to catch up on our lives. Alex had recently completed dental school and was preparing for board certification exams, which required practicing on real patients. When Alex called asking if I'd be willing to help with exam preparation, I agreed without hesitation. Little did I know that this routine practice session would become a pivotal moment in our relationship. Let me take you back to that day. It was a crisp Saturday morning when I arrived at Alex's clinic. The office was closed to regular patients, creating an intimate atmosphere that felt both professional and strangely personal. The waiting room had that distinct dental office smell, a mixture of antiseptic and mint that always triggered a slight nervousness in me. I'd never been particularly comfortable in dental settings, despite having relatively good experiences throughout my life. There's just something about being vulnerable in that chair, mouth open, unable to speak, that creates a unique kind of tension. As I sat in the waiting area, I reflected on my friendship with Alex. We'd met during our sophomore year of college when we were assigned as lab partners in organic chemistry. Our friendship had developed naturally over shared study sessions and late-night conversations about our dreams and aspirations. Alex had always been passionate about healthcare, specifically dentistry, fascinated by the combination of medical knowledge and artistic skill required. I'd always admired that focused determination, so different from my more wandering career path that had eventually led me to marketing. The sound of a door opening interrupted my thoughts. "Hey, you made it." Alex appeared, wearing a professional white coat that somehow transformed my friend into someone slightly unfamiliar, more authoritative, more mature. I felt a strange flutter in my stomach that I quickly dismissed as simple nervousness about the upcoming examination. "Of course I made it," I replied with a smile. "I couldn't leave you hanging before your big exam. Plus, I've been putting off a checkup anyway, so this works out for both of us." Alex led me through the corridor to the examination room, explaining the process along the way. "I really appreciate this. The practical portion of the boards requires demonstrating a full examination and explaining potential treatment plans. Having someone I'm comfortable with makes it much easier to focus on the technical aspects." The examination room was smaller than I expected, creating an immediate sense of intimacy. Equipment was meticulously arranged, the dental chair dominating the center of the space. Bright lights positioned overhead reminded me that soon I would be under intense scrutiny. Alex gestured for me to sit in the chair, and I obliged, trying to appear more relaxed than I felt. "Try to act like a regular patient," Alex suggested, washing hands thoroughly at the sink. "I need to practice my bedside manner too. The examiners will be watching how I interact with patients just as much as my technical skills." I nodded, settling into the chair as Alex adjusted its position, reclining me slightly. Should I pretend to be difficult? Maybe afraid of needles, or with a strong gag reflex? I joked, trying to ease my own tension. Alex laughed, the familiar sound helping to dissolve some of my nervousness. "Just be yourself. That's challenging enough." The teasing tone was familiar territory for our friendship, and I felt myself relaxing slightly. Let me explain why this context matters. Friendships often develop within specific boundaries and contexts. When those contexts shift, it can reveal new dimensions to people we thought we knew completely. In that moment, I was seeing Alex not just as my friend, but as a healthcare professional, competent, confident, and caring in ways I hadn't fully appreciated before. As Alex began the examination, explaining each step with professional precision, I became increasingly aware of our physical proximity. This was different from our usual coffee shop conversations or movie nights. Here, Alex's face was inches from mine, focused intently on examining my teeth and gums. I could detect the faint scent of mint and coffee, could see the concentration in those familiar eyes that now studied me with professional detachment. "I'm going to check your gums now," Alex explained, putting on latex gloves with practiced efficiency. "This helps me assess your overall oral health. Gum disease can be present without any pain or obvious symptoms, which is why regular checkups are so important." I tried to focus on the educational aspects of what Alex was saying rather than the gentle pressure of fingers against my gums. The professional narration continued as various instruments were used to probe and examine. Your gums look healthy overall, good pink color, minimal bleeding during probing. Now I'll check for any signs of decay or issues with previous dental work. The examination continued methodically. Alex used a small mirror and explorer tool to check each tooth, occasionally making notes on a chart. I found myself strangely fascinated by this professional side of my friend, confident, meticulous, and genuinely concerned with oral health. It was a dimension of Alex I'd heard about, but never directly experienced. Now I need to examine your soft tissues, Alex explained, putting down the dental tools and removing the gloves to replace them with fresh ones. This is to check for any abnormalities that could indicate health issues. I'll be examining your lips, cheeks, tongue, and the floor of your mouth. I nodded, trying to maintain a casual demeanor despite the increasing intimacy of the examination. Alex's fingers gently pressed along my jawline, checking for any unusual lumps or tenderness. The touch was professional, but still sent an unexpected warmth through me. Our eyes met briefly, and I thought I detected a momentary hesitation in Alex's clinical demeanor. "Everything feels normal," Alex commented, voice perhaps slightly less steady than before. "Now I'll check your lips for any signs of dryness or lesions." And that's when it happened, the moment that would change everything between us. Alex's fingers moved to my lower lip, gently examining its texture and appearance. But then there was a pause, a hesitation that extended just beyond what seemed clinically necessary. Our eyes met again, and this time the professional mask slipped completely. Alex's fingers remained on my lip, the touch transforming from clinical to something else entirely. Time seemed to stretch in that moment. The examination room felt charged with unspoken feelings that had perhaps been simmering beneath our friendship for years. I could hear Alex's breathing change slightly, becoming more shallow. My own heart was racing, caught between surprise and a dawning realization that perhaps this attraction wasn't entirely new or one-sided. Let me take a moment to explain why this type of connection can feel so significant. When friendship evolves into attraction, there's already a foundation of trust and understanding that gives any romantic feelings additional weight. You're not just discovering someone new. You're seeing someone familiar in an entirely new light. That combination creates a particularly powerful emotional response. The pause lasted only seconds, but felt much longer. Alex finally withdrew the hand, clearing a throat that had suddenly gone dry. "Sorry, I was checking for any signs of dehydration. Your lips seem healthy." The professional explanation couldn't quite mask the personal moment we'd just shared. I sat up slightly in the chair, not quite ready to break the tension with a casual response. "Is that part of the standard examination?" I asked, my voice softer than intended. Alex met my gaze again, hesitating before responding. "Yes, but I may have been a bit more thorough than necessary." There was a vulnerability in that admission that I'd rarely seen in our years of friendship. The remainder of the examination proceeded with a new undercurrent of awareness between us. Alex continued professionally, explaining findings and recommendations, but there was a newfound tension that neither of us acknowledged directly. When the examination finally concluded, I felt both relief and disappointment as Alex raised the chair to its upright position. "Well, you've got a clean bill of oral health," Alex said, removing gloves and washing hands again. "No cavities, gums look good. You should probably floss more regularly, but I think I've told you that before." I nodded, gathering my thoughts. "So did you get what you needed for your exam preparation?" I asked, trying to return us to the original purpose of the visit. Alex turned from the sink, drying hands on a paper towel. "Yes, but I also think I discovered something I wasn't expecting to find." The words hung in the air between us, an invitation to acknowledge what had transpired. In situations like this, there's often a critical moment where you can either retreat to the safety of established boundaries or step forward into new, uncertain territory. Both options carry risks, the risk of rejection or the risk of changing a valued friendship forever. What makes these moments so powerful is that they require courage regardless of which path you choose. I took a deep breath, deciding that honesty was the only way forward. "I felt it too," I admitted. "That moment when you were examining my lip. It didn't feel entirely professional." Alex's expression softened with relief. "It wasn't. I've been trying to maintain professional boundaries today, but when I touched your lip, something just shifted. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate." Don't apologize, I said, surprised by my own certainty. I think maybe we've been avoiding something that's been there for a while. We moved to Alex's office, away from the clinical setting of the examination room, and sat across from each other in more comfortable chairs. The white coat came off, and suddenly we were just two friends again, albeit friends navigating a significant shift in our relationship. How long have you felt this way? Alex asked, voice gentle but direct. I considered the question carefully. I'm not sure I fully recognized it until today. There have been moments over the years when I've felt something beyond friendship, but I always pushed those feelings aside. What about you? Alex smiled, a mixture of nervousness and relief. Probably since our final year of college. Remember that road trip we took to the coast? There was a moment watching the sunset when I almost said something, but I was too afraid of ruining our friendship. I remembered that trip vividly. The freedom of the open road, deep conversations under star-filled skies, and yes, that sunset on the beach. Had there been signs even then that I'd missed or deliberately ignored? So what do we do now? I asked, the practical question that follows any significant revelation. I think we take things slowly, Alex suggested. We have a friendship that's too valuable to risk rushing into something we're not ready for. But I also don't want to pretend today didn't happen. I nodded in agreement. Slow sounds good. Maybe we could start with dinner? An actual date rather than our usual casual meetups. The conversation continued as we navigated this new territory together, discussing boundaries, expectations, and the potential challenges of transitioning from friends to something more. There was both excitement and apprehension, the natural response to any significant change in a valued relationship. You might be wondering why this particular moment, a paused finger on a lip during a dental examination, could trigger such a profound shift. The truth is that attraction often manifests in these small, seemingly insignificant moments. A lingering touch, a held gaze, a break in professional demeanor. These brief instances can reveal feelings that may have been present but unacknowledged for years. In the vulnerability of that examination room, with its inherent intimacy and power dynamics, those feelings became impossible to ignore. As we left the clinic together that afternoon, walking side by side as we had countless times before, there was a new awareness between us. Our hands brushed accidentally, then intentionally, finally intertwining with a naturalness that suggested this had always been inevitable. Our first official date took place the following weekend at a small restaurant we'd often talked about trying, but had never visited. The conversation flowed easily, as it always had between us, but now with an added dimension of possibility. We discussed our hesitations and fears, primarily the concern about risking our friendship, but also the excitement of exploring these new feelings. I keep thinking about that moment in the clinic, Alex confessed over dessert. It was completely unprofessional of me. I laughed. I'm glad you were unprofessional. Otherwise, we might have continued pretending there was nothing between us for another decade. The weeks that followed brought both challenges and joys as we navigated this evolution in our relationship. There were awkward moments as we adjusted to seeing each other in a romantic light, but also beautiful discoveries as we allowed ourselves to express feelings that had been contained for so long. Alex passed the board certification exam with flying colors, and I was there to celebrate, now as both a friend and a partner. We joked about including the lip examination story in the acceptance speech, though Alex wisely kept that private moment between us. Our relationship continued to develop, building on the strong foundation of friendship while embracing the excitement of romantic connection. We found that our deep knowledge of each other provided a unique advantage. We already understood each other's values, quirks, and vulnerabilities in ways that new couples often take years to discover. This isn't to say the transition was always smooth. There were moments of doubt, times when we questioned whether we'd made the right decision in crossing the boundary from friendship to romance. What if it didn't work out? Could we ever return to being just friends? These questions lingered, but we chose to move forward despite the uncertainty. 6 months after that fateful examination, Alex took me back to the clinic after hours. I was confused until I was guided to sit in that same dental chair where our relationship had transformed. I wanted to bring you back here because this is where I finally had the courage to show you how I felt, Alex explained, taking my hand. Not my most romantic moment, I admit, but definitely one of the most honest. I smiled, remembering the tension and revelation of that day. I think there's something perfect about it happening here. It was unexpected and authentic, just like the best parts of our relationship. Looking back now, I'm struck by how often life's most significant moments occur in ordinary settings. A dental examination room isn't typically the setting for romance, yet for us, it became the place where years of unspoken feelings finally found expression. The clinical became personal, the professional became intimate, and a routine practice session became the beginning of a profound connection. I share this story not just as a personal anecdote, but as a reflection on how relationships evolve in unexpected ways and moments. Sometimes the people we're meant to be with have been beside us all along, waiting for that perfect moment of recognition. For us, it took a dental exam and fingers paused on a lip to recognize what might have been obvious to everyone else, that our friendship had always contained the potential for something deeper. If there's a lesson in our experience, perhaps it's about remaining open to the possibilities that exist in our closest relationships. Sometimes crossing the boundary from friendship to romance is exactly the right move, even when it feels risky. And sometimes, the most meaningful connections develop not in grand, dramatic moments, but in quiet, intimate spaces where vulnerability allows truth to emerge. Alex and I continue to navigate our relationship day by day, building on our friendship while embracing the deeper connection we've discovered. And yes, I still get regular dental checkups, though now they tend to be slightly less professional and considerably more enjoyable than before. The journey from friends to lovers isn't always straightforward, but when it happens organically, growing from a foundation of genuine care and understanding, it can be one of life's most rewarding experiences. Our story began in a dental chair with fingers paused on a lip, an unlikely beginning to a beautiful relationship that continues to evolve and deepen with each passing day. I often think about how differently things might have turned out if Alex had maintained strictly professional boundaries that day, or if I had ignored the significance of that paused touch. One small moment of honesty opened the door to a relationship that has brought immeasurable joy to both our lives. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest risks yield the greatest rewards, and that love often finds us in the most unexpected circumstances. So if you find yourself experiencing an unexpected moment of connection with someone you've known for years, consider the possibility that friendship sometimes serves as preparation for deeper bonds. The transition may be challenging, the risks real, but the potential for authentic, meaningful connection might just be worth every moment of uncertainty along the way. Total _char_count, 17,842.